need justice for Jeremiah Gustave.
Yeah.
I haven't received no call from the president, nothing from this government, and I need justice for my son. Justice I need for Jeremiah. I don't want to hear nothing else from this government. You didn't even reach out to me for say, oh, I give you my deepest sympathy, nothing, Todd. I'm a primary school child. What is that? He riding the road free, and my son lie down in a box.
I really like them to catch these two boys and pin them down life imprisonment for my son.
Over the past few days, as I've covered Adriana Young's story, I've also received countless messages from viewers across the Caribbean and in the diaspora asking me to look into Jeremiah Gustave's story. This case takes us back to Guyana, where a stray discharge changed a family's life forever. Nearly a year later, and his family is still fighting for justice. It was a warm Tuesday evening in Charlestown, a neighborhood in Georgetown, Guyana. Jeremiah, a student at Smith Memorial Primary School, was sitting outside his home next to his mother's small food stall on Charles Street. The 6-year-old was eagerly waiting for a treat. His mom, Keisha Gustave, was frying chips or French fries that he had asked for. She later recalled hearing a strange scrib sound in the area, but dismissed it as likely being fireworks. Around 7:45 p.m., as Keisha tended to the stove, an eruption of discharges tore through the evening calm. A man on a black motorcycle had ridden up and suddenly started firing. According to police reports, the rider pulled out a firearm and discharged 4 rounds in the direction of another man known by the nickname Crab, who was standing nearby. In seconds, chaos broke out on Charles Street. The intended target, Crab, bolted and managed to escape the ambush. But amidst the discharges, little Jeremiah cried out, "Mommy! Mommy!" Keisha spun around to a horrifying sight. Her son collapsed on the ground in a pool of red bodily fluid. One of the discharges had struck him in the head just above his temple, and he fell to the pavement as the assailant sped away. A neighbor immediately rushed over, and together they frantically drove to the Georgetown Public Hospital, racing against time. The medical staff sprung into action upon their arrival. Jeremiah was alive but gravely wounded. The discharge had entered through his temple and was lodged at the back of his skull. That very night, surgeons performed an emergency operation to relieve pressure on his brain and remove discharge fragments. The injury was catastrophic, and Jeremiah was placed on life support as doctors fought to stabilize him. In those first hours, they warned the family that the next 48 hours were critical to see if Jeremiah showed any signs of improvement. Luckily, Jeremiah survived the night, but his condition remained touch and go. Days turned into weeks as he lay in the intensive care unit or ICU. Jerry, as his family called him, endured one procedure after another in an effort to save his life. Within the first 2 weeks, the 6-year-old had already undergone 2 major brain surgeries. A CT scan had been conducted to assess the damage and guide further treatment. For nearly a month, Jeremiah stayed in critical condition, kept alive by a ventilator, God's hand, and the hopes of his family.
Tell us your name, and then I know it's a very difficult topic for you. We'll go back to July 9th.
Okay, my name is Keisha Gustave. I'm Jeremiah's mommy. On the 9th, I normally do chicken and chips, fish and chips, outside at the gate. And I hear this thing, it sounds like scrape, but which I didn't think and take it for anything. So I constantly hearing the shots. So I saying, where this thing could be coming from? Why they lighting this thing? Anyhow, I still keep hearing this thing over and over.
So you were inside at that point?
No, I was outside.
Outside doing your business?
Yes. So a bypass on a motorbike, and like 5 minutes after, I turned to do something, and I hear Jeremiah hollering, "Mommy, mommy." So when I turn out, I see Jeremiah is already in a pool of blood.
You're doing your business.
Yeah, he was sitting out there with me, waiting on something to eat.
He's with you. It's just in front of where you live here in Charlestown.
Yes.
And you're hearing these scripts going on.
Yeah.
Minding your own business.
Yeah.
And then your son calls out to you.
"Mommy, mommy, mommy." When I turn, I already see Jeremiah was in a pool of blood. And a guy from the opposite side come and he gave us a drop to the hospital. So whilst we on our way going, he was still calling for mommy.
He's calling for mommy. But just before we go there, while you were selling, was anybody else there? Was just you and Jeremiah?
Me and his cousin, Jeremiah's cousin, who was sitting out there. So she eventually go with us to the hospital. So the boy come and give us a drop to the hospital. So by the time we reach there, they rush Jeremiah right into theater right away.
And this is Georgetown Public Hospital?
Yeah. So they take him into theater, but presently at this moment, he's still critical. He's not responding as yet. The guys is still on the run at this point in time. They haven't catch nobody as yet.
So this is now, I guess you figure now this is fire you were hearing.
Yeah.
Being fired indiscriminately in this area here, where you live. Where was he?
He was shot to the head.
I just want to be clear for folks.
Yeah.
And the doctors are telling you, have they removed him?
Yeah, they removed the bullet already.
And have the doctors tell you anything about his condition? You said he's still serious, but in terms of the injuries?
They said that they can't tell me nothing as yet. They have to wait until he wake up and respond to see what will be his condition. But presently, nothing as yet. He's still critical.
And he has been unconscious since he was there?
Yeah.
And you said he was in his head, but yet he was calling out for you all the way to the hospital.
On the way going, he was calling out for me, "Mommy, mommy," right through.
During this period, news of the incident had spread, shocking the community. A child being injured while simply sitting outside his home was something almost unimaginable. Charlestown residents and people across Guyana followed the updates anxiously. Social media also lit up with prayers and well wishes for baby Jerry. Keisha cried, speaking to reporters days after the incident, and at the hospital, she would sit at Jeremiah's bedside, holding his small hand and whispering encouragement. She begged through the tears as he lay unresponsive, eyes closed and bandaged. All the family could do was wait and pray.
Have you been getting any help? I figure it's tough. Your whole life has been turned upside down.
Yeah,
here you have. Yeah.
Right now, I cannot get to work. I can't get to do nothing because I have to spend most of my time at the hospital. Up and down, back and forth.
Now it's got to be tough on you and the family.
Yeah.
And how has his father taken all of this?
My father cannot catch himself at this point in time. It's hard for the whole entire family, plus other relatives, friends, and everyone else. It's hard at this point in time, but everyone is just trying to be strong for Jeremiah.
How has your family on the whole responded to this? I can see your mom nearby.
Everybody's grieving for Jeremiah. Everyone is grieving for Jeremiah.
Behind the scenes, police investigators began piecing together what had happened. The incident was not random. It was the result of an armed confrontation between two individuals in the vicinity. The attacker on the motorcycle was identified by witnesses as Marlon Miceman Marcus, and the man he targeted, Crab, was later identified as Odell Garnett.
The two persons you refer to is someone who wanted. Bulletin has been issued for a call, Marlon Marcus.
Yes.
Or Miceman.
Yes.
Is he known to you?
Yeah, I know him from passing.
You know him from passing in the area here. And then another gentleman, the only name given for him is Crab. They said
his right name is Odell.
Also known as Crab. And according to reports, 4 rounds were discharged in his direction. So he wasn't close to you at this point?
No, he was on the opposite side by the baker shop.
He was on the opposite side?
Yeah.
Because from the report, we get the sense that he was apparently buying close to you or something like that. He wasn't close to you?
No, none out of the two of them wasn't close to me. Only person at that time was on the tent was Jeremiah, myself, and his cousin. No one else was on there.
Is it surprising to you that the police have only issued a wanted bulletin for one of the two guys?
But the wanted bulletin is out for both of them.
Oh, for both of them?
Yeah.
Has the police been in contact with you? It's 10 days now. This happened on July 9th.
If I don't reach out to them, they don't reach out to me. And that's something that I think that they should reach out to me instead of I reaching out to them. So at this point in time, they haven't hold no one as yet.
They haven't held anyone as yet.
No.
This other guy that's nicknamed Crab, is he known to you?
Yeah,
as well?
He's be right around the area also.
And do you have a sense of why this indiscriminate was happening that evening?
To be honest, I have no idea. I cannot say what was the incident caused.
And is that like a usual feature here in Charleston?
We don't have those things around here.
What would you like to see become of this matter? You said the police have not been in contact with you unless you contact them.
I would like to have justice for my son.
What is visiting him like when you go to visit him? You told me you're just coming back from one of those visits that you've been making for the last 10 days.
It's the midday visit.
You go there to visit him. What is that like?
It's really hard. Just watch him lying down there. Talking to him, you're getting no response. It's really hard. I try every day to be strong on behalf of Jeremiah.
Are you satisfied with the kind of health care that he's getting?
No.
What more do you think the authorities could be doing?
I think that they should reach out to the house that these boys normally be in, where my man is live, because presently it is be hearing he's right around the area. And to know that he's right around the area and up to now they haven't catch him as yet.
So you don't think the police is doing enough?
No.
Have they, either of the two gentlemen involved in this altercation, which your son innocent by silent, but he said, have any one of them tried to reach out to you?
I don't want to reach out to me. I want to reach out to the police. I don't want to reach out to me. I just want to reach out to the police because I need justice for my son. I don't want to hear no sorry or anything. I just want justice for my son at this point in time.
And the question I was asking is whether you think the health care that he's getting at the hospital is sufficient. You satisfied with all that they're doing?
To be honest, I'm satisfied, yes, because they looking after him. At least they would communicate with me and so on. But I was thinking if I could get him to fly out of the country to see if he could receive better treatment. But I don't, in his situation, I don't think that he could fly at this point in time.
But I'm happy to hear that the hospital is providing good care. Is that other aspect of him being flown out is something that you've talked to the doctors about?
Come again on that part.
You said you think he might get even better care if he's overseas. Is that something you spoke to the doctors at the hospital about?
No, I spoke to the doctor. I spoke to my mother and his father about it, but everyone is telling me that I can't fly him out right now because of his condition. So I don't know if I could get that assistance, would be great for me.
Are you hopeful that he recovers fully?
He will recover by Jesus' name. He will recover.
Amen to that.
Spent shell casings collected at the scene confirmed that discharges flew from at least one firearm, a 9mm. Very soon, law enforcement issued wanted bulletins for both Marlon and Odell, asking the public for any information on their whereabouts. Within days, developments came on the investigative front. Marlon Marcus had surrendered to the police. He turned himself in reportedly upon learning that an innocent child had been gravely injured. During questioning, he shockingly claimed that the entire incident stemmed from a personal feud. He told detectives that he had lent Odell Crab Garnett about 500 US, which is about 100,000 in Guyana currency, in May, which Garnett had failed to repay. On that July night, according to Marcus, he hadn't planned a fatality. He said he was returning a firearm to a friend when he happened to spot Crab and decided to demand his money back. Marcus alleged that Garnett pulled out a firearm first, firing at him, and that he only returned fire in self-defense. In Marcus's version, the chaotic exchange of discharges was a two-sided shootout, a claim that suggested Garnett was armed and discharging as well. After the brief burst of violence, Marcus fled, hiding the firearm and eventually escaping the city. Police later recovered a handgun that led them to Marcus, which was sent for ballistic testing to see if it was indeed the firearm that wounded Jeremiah. Garnett, the intended target, went into hiding for a time, but eventually turned himself in as well. Both men were now in custody by the end of that July as the investigation continued. Meanwhile, Jeremiah defied the odds and pulled through the initial critical period. By late July 2024, nearly 2 weeks after the incident, he was still alive, though comatose and relying on life support. Doctors were cautiously optimistic as they monitored brain swelling and potential infection. Keisha rarely left the hospital during those days. Each day she would ask the doctors the same question: is he any better today? Progress was agonizingly slow. The discharges damage to Jeremiah's young brain was severe, and it was a miracle that he had survived at all.
Tell us a little bit about the kind of person Jeremiah was
Oh
before he was
my.
shot.
Jeremiah is a very jovial person. Whole day you call Jeremiah name. Whole day. Only time you don't call Jeremiah name is when he's sleeping. Other than that, every 5 minutes is Jeremiah.
That sounds like my son. Yeah, so he was a live wire here in this family.
Yeah.
Here in Georgetown.
Yeah. All the little children around the area like him.
And which school was he going to?
He attends Smith Memorial Primary.
And that's not too far from here, if memory serves me
Yeah.
correct. And I'm certain he was here enjoying summer, being out in school and so on.
Plus he liked to roller skate. He liked ride bicycle. He liked go and play in the park. He liked doing a lot of things. He loved curry chicken.
Over the following months, Jeremiah endured multiple surgeries, in fact, a total of 9 operations, as medical teams fought to improve his condition. One critical procedure was the installation of a VP shunt in his skull, a tube to drain excess fluid and relieve pressure on his brain. After each surgery, Keisha and the family would cling to hope that this one might be the turning point for Jerry's recovery. The boy's father, stepfather, and other relatives all took turns keeping vigil by his bedside. And indeed, there were small glimmers. At times, Jeremiah would move his toes or slightly turn his head, tiny reflexes that felt like huge victories to his loved ones.
I would like my son to recover out of this year. At this point in time, I'm really grieving for my son. Each and every day, I'm grieving for Jeremiah. Every day, I call his name. Sometimes I'd be sitting and water is just running out my eyes because I'm grieving a lot for Jeremiah. I can't. I was trying, but every day I ask God to give me the health and strength to go to visit Jeremiah. Sometimes when I stand up, I just say, I go outside and stand up because it's really hard for me as a mother to go through this at this point in time. I'm grieving so much for Jeremiah. I miss Jeremiah every day. Up to when I tell him, I said, Jeremiah, I miss making tea for you. Everything I miss for Jeremiah at this point in time.
By late 2024, after many long weeks, Jeremiah's condition stabilized enough that doctors allowed him to be discharged from the hospital to continue care at home. Though he was still unconscious and completely dependent, the fact that he could leave the hospital was seen as a positive step. The family's home was turned into a mini hospital ward to accommodate his needs. They purchased a suction machine and oxygen supply and set up a hospital bed in the living room. Jeremiah still could not walk, talk, or even see. At some point, his mother realized with sorrow that he had lost his eyesight as a result of the brain trauma. Keisha learned how to care for a child with profound neurological damage, cleaning his tracheotomy tube, feeding him liquid meals through the gastric tube, and changing him like an infant. It was an enormous burden, but she did it without complaint. In early January 2025, about half a year into this ordeal, Jeremiah hit another roadblock. The VP shunt in his head started malfunctioning. His mother noticed something was off. Jerry's hands and stomach began to swell alarmingly, signs that fluid was building up again. Rushing him back to Georgetown Public Hospital, doctors discovered the shunt had complications and he needed emergency surgery to fix it. The procedure was performed, and for a while, Jeremiah stabilized once more. By this time, he had turned 7 years old and celebrated his 7th birthday in January in the hospital, surrounded by nurses and family singing softly, though Jeremiah himself was not awake to enjoy the cake. Keisha's faith remained strong even then. She continued to believe that her son might somehow beat the odds. Every slight movement or change gave her a reason to keep going. For 8 long months, the Gustave family rode an emotional roller coaster, juggling hope and despair as Jeremiah's condition ebbed and flowed. Then came the end of March 2025, when tragedy struck its final blow. Just a week prior, during Guyana's Fagwa or Howley festivities, Keisha had done something special. She dressed Jeremiah and held him in a chair outside so he could hear the neighborhood children laughing and playing with the Fagwa powder and water. Fagwa was one of Jerry's favorite celebrations. He used to run and play enthusiastically in the years prior. This time, he couldn't participate, but his mother wanted him to feel a part of life. As she held her son in her arms during the festival, listening to his friends' joyful screams, Keisha silently prayed for a miracle. It was one of the last tender moments they would share. On Saturday, March 29, 2025, Keisha's family urged her to take a short break for herself. It was just after her birthday, and she had scarcely left Jeremiah's side in months. Her husband, Jeremiah's stepfather, convinced her to go out for a brief outing that evening while Jeremiah's grandmother watched over him. Reluctantly, she agreed. Keisha left home to get her hair and makeup done, trying to remember what normal life felt like. But normalcy was not to be. Around 6:15 p.m., a phone call shattered the calm. It was Jeremiah's father on the line, shouting in panic that Jerry's not breathing. Keisha's heart dropped. She rushed out of the salon immediately and raced to the hospital in a frenzy of fear. When she arrived at the Georgetown Hospital's emergency unit, it was too late. The doctors had done everything they could, but Jeremiah was gone. The little boy who had hung on so tenaciously finally succumbed to his injuries after 8 months of struggle. Keisha was in disbelief. Just hours earlier, she had been by his side and he had been stable. Now, the nurses were gently telling her that her son's heart had stopped. In shock and agony, Keisha recalled the last words she said to him before leaving that day. "I love you, and I will look after you and do everything for you. I'll be back soon." She had fully expected to return home that night to find him as she left him. Instead, she found herself in a hospital room, cradling Jeremiah's lifeless body. News of Jeremiah Gustave's passing spread quickly across Guyana that weekend. A family member confirmed to the press that the 7-year-old passed away at home and was later pronounced gone at the hospital that evening. An autopsy would later be conducted to officially determine the cause of passing, which was ultimately attributed to complications from the discharge wound. But for everyone following the story, the heartbreaking outcome was already clear. After months of prayers, fundraisers, and community support, young Jeremiah was gone. Another innocent life snuffed out by senseless violence. Jeremiah's passing not only devastated his family, It also ignited anger and calls for justice throughout the community. The very next day, Keisha spoke to news outlets sitting outside her Charlestown home where the discharge incident had occurred. She made an impassioned demand. The pain in her voice was raw, but so was her resolve. For Keisha, justice meant holding everyone responsible for her son's suffering accountable, not only the person who pulled the trigger, but also anyone whose failures contributed to the tragedy. She was particularly enraged that one of the suspects had been set free just months before. In the aftermath, both Marlon and Odell had initially been charged in connection with the crime. Back in July 2024, police charged Marcus with attempted fatality for the grievous head wound inflicted on Jeremiah. Garnett, the other man involved in the incident, was also charged, reportedly also for attempted fatality, likely for his role in the crossfire. Both men were remanded to custody. However, just a few months later, in October 2024, the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, quietly withdrew the case against Marlon Marcus and he was released. There was no public explanation. This decision meant that as Jeremiah fought for his life, the man accused of firing the discharge that hit him was walking free. At the time, Keisha and her family made it clear that they were not informed why the charges were dropped. By contrast, Odell Crab Garnett remained behind bars awaiting trial on attempted fatality charges. The wheels of justice were turning, but at a pace that felt excruciatingly slow for the family.
I don't feel pleased about it because why is it that you lose him in the first place? You cannot withdraw a matter and this boy explode firearm and you in charge him. You just withdraw a matter, the DPP say she don't have no evidence. I don't understand. So now my son passed away. What the DPP have to see? I need some sort of justice for my son. They need to charge both of them for murder. Jeremiah is only 7 years old. Jeremiah lived no life yet, and I need justice for my son. This is a real heart-rending, and I need justice for Jeremiah. I don't want nobody come and say, oh, sorry. No, you keep your sorry. I need justice for Jeremiah. He was a healthy and a strong little boy. And I need some sort of justice for my son. I'm not going to take this easy. I need a lot of support from the viewers. I need, if I decide to say, well, let's go out to the DPP office, I need support from people on the streets to come and support me on behalf of my son.
Now with Jeremiah gone, the stakes and emotions were even higher. Keisha demanded that the authorities upgrade the charges to fatality for whoever was responsible for her son's passing.
Jeremiah's mother, Jeremiah Gustave, briefly recalled what it was like caring for her son.
The hospital visit was okay. They're up and down. You have to take him to therapy, bring him home back, feed him. I was doing everything for him so far. Nobody, no minister, nobody didn't come and reach out to me on behalf of this incident. And this is not for say, well, it's a big person, this is a small child. Nothing at all from the government. I had to look after this child right through from since this incident happened to the 29th of March. No assistance from the government, none whatsoever. When I have to take him to clinic up and down, taxi we have to be using. Nobody come in and ask me, well, oh, if I get money to take him to the hospital, nothing.
Her calls were echoed by many outraged Guyanese on social media who tagged officials and left fiery comments on news pages. It was not lost on the public that Jeremiah's case was now one of a child's passing, and any leniency shown earlier would need to be revisited. Neighbors, teachers, and even strangers who had followed the story came to the house to pay respects and express their sympathy. Within days, a candlelight vigil was organized on Charles Street in Charlestown, just steps from where Jeremiah had been wounded. Friends, residents, and activists gathered with candles and posters that read "Justice for Jerry." They shared prayers, tears, and memories of the smiling boy who loved to dance and play. The vigil was not only to mourn, but also to send a message that Jeremiah's life mattered and his passing would not be brushed aside.
I'm the parent of Jeremiah Gustave. I live inside with my son and but justice. I'm heartbroken. Also the whole entire family.
With the knife, oh yeah.
I am under the road. I am under the road. What desire and I? They go behind me. I am under the road. With a grateful heart, give thanks unto the Holy One. Give thanks because He's given Jesus Christ. His Son. Somebody sing it. And now. It is sad how his life was snapped out of friends. It was sad what he had to go through, but God knows best.
Local media too added to the outcry. The Starbrook News, a leading Guyanese newspaper, published a stark editorial on April 8, 2025, just days after Jeremiah's passing. In it, the editors lamented the state of affairs that led to the loss of young life, calling Jeremiah's passing a rebuke to the authorities and a symptom of deeper social ills. They described the now infamous photograph of Jeremiah, the little boy on a staircase with missing front teeth and both hands raised in a joyous peace sign, noting how his entire future was stolen from him. The editorial didn't mince words about the justice system either. It scolded the unexplained release of Marlon Marcus in late 2024 as an insult to injury, highlighting how neither the court nor the DPP's office provided any transparency for that decision. The newspaper also pointed out the failures in social services, noting how no government ministry or official had reached out to assist the Gustave family during Jeremiah's hospitalization. Despite him being an innocent school victim, the family largely had to fend for themselves, paying for medical equipment and therapy on their own. All these lapses, the editorial suggested, cut across planes of governance and accountability in Guyana. Facing growing public pressure, Guyanese authorities responded. The Guyana police force noted that with Jeremiah's passing, the case was now being treated as a homicide investigation. According to Crime Chief Wendell Blanham, detectives went to the prison and formally re-interviewed Odell, putting the allegation of fatality to him in light of the child's passing. It's unclear why Garnett was singled out in this update, possibly as a part of verifying his role in the incident, since he had always maintained he was merely the target, not the assailant. More significantly, the spotlight turned back onto Marlon Maceman Marcus, who had been out free since the previous November. The public wanted to know, would Marcus be rearrested and charged now that Jeremiah had passed? By mid-April 2025, Minister of Home Affairs Robson Ben publicly weighed in. He called for an impartial probe into Jeremiah's passing and insisted that the police and judicial system take a hard second look at the case. Minister Ben acknowledged that the matter was already at the judicial stage, implying the courts were handling it, but his statement of support for further investigation was noted. He even said he would have the police conduct additional investigations to ensure nothing was missed. For Keisha and her family, these official assurances were a start, but not enough on their own. They had heard promises before. What they wanted were concrete actions, charges of fatality filed, a trial, and ultimately a conviction for the person or persons who caused Jeremiah's passing. In late April 2025, as Guyana was rocked by protests and turmoil related to another case, the passing of 11-year-old Adriana Young, Keisha stood in solidarity with other grieving families demanding justice. If you would like to know more about Adriana's case, be sure to check out the videos right here on this channel. They are also linked in the description below.
All these are babies, yes.
I need justice for Jeremiah Gustave.
Yeah.
I haven't received no call from the president, nothing from this government, and I need justice for my son. Justice I need for Jeremiah. I don't want to hear nothing else from this government. I am not feeling pleased at all. Of course, now you saying because we care. Priya Manchan, you didn't even reach out to me for say, oh, I give you my deepest sympathy. Nothing, tal. Of a primary school child, what is that? And you expect people to come out and vote for you? Nonsense, man. I need some sort of justice for my son. Now, how could you withdraw a matter with a guy with an unlicensed gun? Tell me, you withdraw him matter and he didn't even have the license for his gun. And he riding the road free. And my son lie down in a box. In a box, my son lie down. And I haven't received nothing from this government. That's lackadaisical government. On behalf of this whole entire family and my son. I am not pleased at all. Look at that little baby that died yesterday. What is really wrong with these people? Nothing.
You're sick.
Jeremiah's name has joined a tragic list of Caribbean children whose passings have become rallying cries for change. In the end, the hope is that his legacy, like Adriana Young's, will push the authorities toward reforms that ensure greater police accountability and public safety. May the family and friends of Jeremiah Gustave find solace in the happy memories, and may his soul rest in perpetual peace. I do hope that justice is served. Thank you.